You're watching First News at 5. Your news and weather headlines start right now.
Good evening, I'm Molly Martinez. 10 are dead and another 10 are wounded after a student opens fire.
People down.
Panic.
More shots fired. Additional shots fired.
Chaos.
We also need to fly for an officer down.
This time at a South Texas school. As law enforcement blankets Santa Fe High School, students quickly realize the fire alarm is not a drill.
Next thing you know, we just hear three gunshots, loud explosions, and all the teachers are telling us to run, run, go, like run.
Running from an armed 17-year-old fellow student, Dimitrios Pagurtsis, who investigators also say planted pipe bombs.
One was a CO2 device, another was a Molotov cocktail, and there are various other types of explosive devices that have been identified both in a home as well as in a vehicle.
With multiple fatalities, a parent's worst nightmare has come true.
It's one of our fears as parents to send our kids to school nowadays and not know that they're safe.
You're scared, you're traumatized.
Now another American community traumatized by a shooting in their school.
It's time in Texas that we take action.
I would have never thought that something like this would have happened here.
Tragically, now the unthinkable has happened here, leaving a town, a state, and country wondering if school will ever be safe again. Wendy Woolfolk, NBC News.
Governor Doug Burgum is ordering all government agencies to fly state and American flags at half-staff. He's encouraging all homeowners and businesses to do the same. He says it's a mark of solemn respect for the victims of today's shooting. Today marks day 2 of the trial of a man accused of setting fire to his fiance's house. Spencer Norton is charged with arson in the November incident. He also has 2 terrorizing charges separate to this case. A few hours ago, witnesses watched the surveillance video from the neighbor's home from the night of November 7th. So far, the case boils down to what occurred that day during the span of only 62 seconds. The Burleigh County State's Attorney Office claims Norton walked away from the home 62 seconds after his fiancée Yvette Howell did. The defense says that's not enough time to start a fire. BPD investigators say both Howell and Norton pointed the finger at Howell's daughter, and then that theory disappeared.
His exact statement is, quote, "This isn't my house. I didn't give a shit about it, and I didn't want to be there to begin with," end of quote.
Laura also backs up yesterday's claims that the fire started from an open flame. We'll have a lot more on this story coming up at 6. Okay, let's send it over now to Kevin. Kevin, we had another damp day.
Another damp day. This is exactly what we needed across the region.
We've got some pretty crazy photos from Long Lake coming up later in the
Good
broadcast.
deal. Yeah, it is crazy indeed.
Yeah. Thanks, Kevin. Well, first, it was a crate of grenades. Now, Minot Air Force Base says they've lost an M42 machine gun. They realized the weapon was missing during a recent inventory check. We talked to the National Guard about concerns involved with a deadly weapon disappearing and possibly ending up in the wrong hands.
They can harm themselves or harm other individuals, or can wreck it, and it's unusable for the North Dakota National Guard. So those are the type of would be the major concerns.
An investigation into the missing weapon has been opened by the Air Force Office of Special Investigations. Today on Capitol Hill, the House of Representatives fails to pass an $867 billion farm bill. The bill was knocked down with a vote of 213 to 198. All House Democrats, along with 30 Republicans, voted against the measure. GOP lawmakers and members of the Freedom House Caucus voted no after failing to get concessions on a future immigration vote in exchange for their support. It's not clear when the measure will come up for debate again. Representative Kevin Cramer was quick to weigh in, saying, quote, "While the outcome of today's vote is unfortunate, because the current farm bill is authorized through September 30th, we still have plenty of time to get it across the finish line." Back here in North Dakota, state lawmakers have considered what to do about sports betting. About 18 states are looking at sports betting legislation after the Supreme Court overturned a ban on Monday. The state would need to change the state constitution or change the definition of charitable gaming, which is legal. North Dakota made $6.5 million in taxes from 2015 to 2017 from charitable gambling. However, not everyone is upping the ante. Addiction counselors worry about problematic gambling behaviors.
Those behaviors continue to be exhibited by individuals. The likelihood of it moving into a full-blown addiction is very likely.
A study by the State Department of Human Services found 36% of North Dakotans gambled in the past year. Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railway is beginning to look at the need for a new crossing on the Missouri River. Building a new bridge takes years and a lot of red tape. The company is in discussions with the Coast Guard and local organizations about what to do with the current bridge.
Navigation, risk of ice jams, things like that. That would increase if you had two structures in the river where there is one currently. So that's an example of what has to be looked at and what has to be evaluated.
The BNSF rail bridge, built in 1880, is actually older than the state of North Dakota. Yesterday, we shared the heartbreaking story of a woman from Van Hook who lost her home and her dog in a fire earlier this week. Rural firefighters battled the blaze, and it brings to light the struggles that the departments across the country face. Most rural fire departments in North Dakota are staffed by volunteers, but they have a lot of ground to cover, which makes quick response time extremely difficult.
The fires can travel very fast in a 25, 30 mile an hour wind. They'll jump the roads with embers and things like that. And then if there's another property there, it can affect the house.
Weldicole says the longest it's taken for him to get to a site was roughly a half an hour. It's demolition day at the old governor's mansion. After getting no offers to buy or relocate the old residence, it was time to tear it down. Maddie Gelseth shows us what was saved from the building before it was reduced to rubble.
This residence was home to 9 governors, but now it's just a memory. But some of the items will be saved forever.
We can't preserve everything, so we try and preserve a slice, give it an idea of what it was like in the past. So we try our best to preserve a selection.
The State Historical Society saved over 300 items from the home, including napkins, furniture, and more.
The flatware and the dinnerware, the napkins, the drapery, samples of the wallpaper, samples of the carpet.
All which can be viewed at the State Historical Society. After the demolition of the home is finished, regrading of the land will begin. Governor Doug Burgum's family moved into the new residence next door a few months ago, and he says he's honored to be the first family to be in the 3rd North Dakota governor's residence. Reporting for NBC North Dakota News, I'm Maddie Gelseth.
In education news, the population in Williston is growing and so are class sizes, but there aren't enough teachers to fill them. There are currently 61 teaching positions open, which includes schools from District 1, District 8, Head Start, and St. Joseph's Catholic School. District 1 staff say while the kids are out for summer, the administrators will be working nonstop to fill every vacancy.
Advertise as much as possible. We're calling colleges in the area saying, hey, do you have teachers that are finished up? Do you have people who are graduating who are going to be qualified? Give them our number. They could get a job right now.
Job Service North Dakota says there are 89 teacher openings in the Northwest and more than 262 openings in teaching and non-teaching school positions across 3 counties. Okay, Kevin, over to you. More than 100 people are dead after a Cuban airliner crashes shortly after takeoff from the Havana airport. Officials said the Boeing 737 was headed to the eastern city of Holguin when it crashed just past the runway. Government officials, including President Miguel Diaz-Canel, rushed to the site along with a number of emergency and medical workers. There are reports of survivors. The successful launch of China's first private rocket yesterday serves as a milestone for the country's commercial space flight. The rocket was developed by One Space, a Beijing private company. The company has 2 rocket series offering services for scientific research and launching small satellites. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is pulling out of Puerto Rico today, just as hurricane season looms. The island's power system is still reeling from the devastation brought on by Hurricane Maria 8 months ago. About 22,000 electric customers are still in the dark with unreliable grids. Residents and officials worry the island isn't ready to lose support from the Corps, but the Corps says its mission is to restore power, and that is largely complete. Okay, let's send it over to Kevin now. Kevin, my plants are rejoicing.
Yes, it's a good day, right? I mean, it's cool.
Kevin, I just said my plants were rejoicing. Now I got to cover them up.
That's right. They'll be rejoicing if you cover them up.
I was worried they were on my porch. I was like, is someone going to take these? I was like, they look too sad.
You're in town, though. It won't be that
No one's going to steal them. All right, up next on First News at 5. The World Health Organization met today to discuss growing concerns over an Ebola outbreak. We'll show you the surprising reaction from world leaders. For the 6th year in a row, Missouri is at the top of the Humane Society's list of horrible 100 puppy mills in the country. The list is meant to draw attention to the horrible conditions these animals face. Missouri is once again at the top spot with the largest number of problematic puppy mills, coming in at 23. The World Health Organization, or the WHO, doesn't believe the outbreak of Ebola is a global health emergency. The WHO reacted quickly to this outbreak, unlike 2 years ago when it delayed its response after a warning from Doctors Without Borders. Authorities are rushing to contain this most recent rural outbreak before it spreads to urban areas. There are 14 confirmed cases of Ebola, with dozens of others that are probable. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration approved a new drug on Thursday to aid reducing the frequency of migraine headaches. The drug would be a monthly self-administered injection designed to stop migraines before they begin. Researchers found that the drug reduced the number of migraine headaches by half each month among half of the study's participants. The drug is approved for patients who have unsuccessfully tried other drugs to treat their symptoms. Well, this is the aftermath of the 10+ inches of rain that fell along Long Lake, South Dakota yesterday. The rain caused some people to evacuate from their homes to higher ground, and some of the roads in that area are still underwater. I think these photos came from our morning anchor Wayne Wolf's mom.
Yeah, who lives in Long Lake, South Dakota.
Yeah.
And that's how we got tipped off that it was raining that heavily. And she has been there for decades and has never seen it quite like this. And
Evacuations, that's pretty serious.
It is. When you have 10 inches of rain in one day, let alone within 5 or 6 hours, it can't all soak into the ground. And that's why it's causing all kinds of problems, and conditions getting better, but still a lot of wet basements, unfortunately. Yeah. But now there's no severe weather to speak of here, but there are some light showers continuing, even a little bit of fog, but not as thick as it was earlier in Dickinson. No advisories right now. 46 degrees in the Queen City. I know it's cold. It is a raw evening, but it's well needed, especially areas that didn't get all the rain from yesterday. 49 degrees in Bismarck, 53 in Minot. Williston really left out of this batch, as has been the case what seems like forever, at 57 degrees right now, but rain in Sydney in the 40s. Tomorrow, look for widespread 60s, more sunshine, so at least that allows temperatures to warm up, and we're back in the 70s starting Sunday.
All right, thanks, Kevin.
Yeah.
Time now to find out what's coming up on the Evening Report.
Well, Molly, we now know the name of the man hit and killed by a semi on I-94 yesterday. He was from Bismarck. Well, take a look at this. It's big enough to break a record that stood for almost 60 years. We'll tell you more about it. And another key provision is in place for North Dakota's medical marijuana program. Those stories, plus sports and the forecast, coming up on the Evening Report.
All right, thank you, Alan, and thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in to the Evening Report in just a half an hour. Till then, here's NBC's Nightly News.